Hey, Thomas from Field Tennis. Today we're gonna take the usual instruction of bend your knees a little bit further because it's not that simple. So we're gonna take a look what is the purpose of the work with the legs and the most common mistakes that players do. So before I go on showing you what is the right way of using your legs or your lower body in sync with the stroke, let me show you 3 examples that I see most often when players do not synchronize their lower body with the upper body, or in other words, they don't synchronize the legs with the swing. So the first example is no legs. So when the ball comes, the player is kind of just very straight on the legs and they're hitting. The second example is that they extend legs too quickly, so they do go down a bit. So let me show you one more. So players go down, then they extend too quickly the legs, so when they're hitting the ball, the power from the legs is gone. And the third example is that players tend to stay down, or some players even, like, they're higher, maybe one lower ball, they're kind of staying lower, and after the shot they're rising, and it can give them a little misinterpretation that they believe they're using their legs, but they're not using them at the right time. So today I want to show you a very simple mental image, very simple idea with which you can synchronize your lower body with your swing. Also, what I'm showing today applies to forehands and backhands. So flat forehand or topspin forehand, one-handed and two-handed backhand, these are all the same fundamentals. But this doesn't apply to slice shots, because when we slice, we can go down with the legs while we're hitting. But when we're hitting a topspin or a drive stroke, then the legs are rising. So when players are instructed to bend their knees, they tend to move just up and down. So if the coach tells them bend your knees, then they're moving like this, down and up, which is a good start, but let's take this a little bit further. I want to give you a very simple mental image, and that is that you try to move with your lower body. So in this case, let's focus on the pelvis area. We try to move the pelvis in the same shape as our swing. So if I swing on a normal low ball, so now again I'm talking about fundamentals, I'm not talking about handling high balls, I'm just talking about a normal height forehand or normal height backhand, then we can see that the swing has this downward loop that looks like a Nike sign or Amazon sign. And what you can visualize is that your pelvis moves in the same way. Of course, not in the same amplitude, it moves less, but in the same shape. So as I am hitting the stroke, this is the area, my pelvis area. So I am trying to move my pelvis in a similar shape as is my swing, if you visualize a normal swing where the ball is a little bit lower. So if I demonstrate one forehand like that, then you can see that my lower body and my upper body are in sync. And that helps me hit the stroke much more effortlessly and with better control. One of the main reasons why the movement of the pelvis in this shape helps you with power and control is because you're doing correct weight transfer at the right time. If the player is thinking just about bend your knees and up, then they're basically in the same spot with their weight. So they're doing a stroke like this, and they're not really transferring weight into the stroke. So weight transfer is, of course, more important or more obvious when we're hitting in a neutral stance than in open stance. So if I'm hitting in a neutral stance, I want to transfer weight into the ball, and this mental image of my lower body, my pelvis moving up and down and in this shape and forward is going to help me engage more of the body into the stroke. So here's one more demonstration. So if I'm going like this, one more, then I'm putting much more weight into the stroke, and I've achieved all that by visualizing what is my lower body doing, because many times players misinterpret weight transfer in neutral stance and they think they transfer weight by leaning forward and falling. So usually that is a loss of balance on a lower level of tennis. Higher level tennis players of course know how to transfer weight in good dynamic balance, but lower level players usually misinterpret the idea of weight transfer. They go here and then they're falling, so they will likely miss the shot. Can we apply the same mental image of moving the pelvis in the shape of the swing also when we hit open stance? Yes, but in a much shorter distance or shorter amount. Because if I'm hitting open stance forehand and I move too much forward, I'm going to lose weight. So open stance is much more rotational, but certainly I don't want to visualize that my pelvis simply just goes up. So if I take a neutral stance and I picture this move of the pelvis through space in the same shape as the swing, it's going down and forward, I can try and apply a little bit of that when I'm hitting open stance. So here's one ball for an example. I'm hitting open stance and I'm trying to be aware of the movements of my pelvis so that I'm not just using my arm or going up, and in that way you can surely improve a little bit also your open stance shots. So here's just a quick demonstration on the backhand. If I'm receiving a normal ball, low ball, and I want to picture the work of my pelvis, because I am aware that my swing on a normal height ball or low ball goes down and up, so I can see this in my mind's eye. So I'm trying to move my pelvis in sync and rise as I'm hitting the ball. In conclusion, this is a very simple mental image of how you need to engage your lower body, the pelvis region, and how your legs need to help you accomplish that. And you can apply it very quickly. So I'm looking forward to your feedback. Want to hear how it goes for you? Does it help your strokes? Let me know in the comments below, and I will talk to you next time.